This is Dr. Jacqueline Phillips. Please give a little round of applause to Jacqueline Phillips, my supervisor. Yes, absolutely. This is what I always do with my students, yes. This is one of our students, Nicole Almonte. She really does deserve a round of applause. She really came all this way to help us present. She's wonderful. And my name is Edward Derr. We are from Three Rivers Community College. We are going to talk about student engagement and how that can possibly make a difference for student retention. We're going to talk about what we can do what we do in our college to get our students engaged. We're going to talk about why engagement is so important. We're going to talk about some of the challenges that our students have and how possibly engagement can make a difference. Our student Nicole Almonte is going to talk about her experience in terms of engagement at Three Rivers Community College. And I know already that a lot of the challenges that we're going to talk about are going to be a part of what you're all dealing with also. And hopefully some of you are doing things at your colleges, respectively, that are helping with student engagement. So toward the end, we want to have a give and take. We want to have a discussion. You'll have heard from what we're doing. We want to hear what you're doing. The keynote speaker spoke about a lot of things that we all need to do. We're going to talk about some things that we do.
Before we start,
go right ahead.
Small group, can we just introduce ourselves and see where we're from? So we start with you, David.
David Johnston, and I run something called the Center for Higher Education Retention Excellence, which is a long name for my retirement. I run some conferences, but I also teach first year introduction at Eastern, and I work with adult learners trying to get them into Middlesex Community College in Maryland.
Thank you. Welcome. Antonio?
Antonio Santiago, Associate Dean of Student Services and Breakout.
Kathleen Hardy, Director of Financial Aid and Veterans Affairs.
Bon Wright, Director of our Advising and Counseling Office at Monica.
Karen Blake, the Director of Student Activities at Monica.
I have a student in my classes. No, you're calling Lisa.
Oh,
I teach her at
yes,
Central.
yes. She did tell me. Oh,
Small world.
yeah.
Welcome.
I'm Jason Ebeling. I'm the Executive Director of Student Success at the Board Readers.
Thank you for coming.
I'm Michelle Konkowski, Biotechnology Program Coordinator at Middlesex Community College.
I'm Althea Coleman, and I teach English at Monica.
Excellent, excellent. I want to give a shout out, I want to give credit to a specific person, Dr. Terrell Strayhorn of Ohio State University. About a year ago, a group of us went to New York and heard a lecture, a presentation from Dr. Terrell Strayhorn. And so some of the ideas that we implemented this school year came from Dr. Terrell Strayhorn. When you hear about this idea about belonging, that was his presentation, and it really struck a chord in many of us. Naugatuck will find some of this familiar because you have the same grant that we have, the ConnCAS program. Okay, I am the program coordinator for the ConnCAS program at Three Rivers Community College. I also teach history and sociology, so I'm also an adjunct instructor. And so that's the program. For those of you who aren't familiar with ConnCAS, Connecticut Colleges Access and Success Program from the Office of Higher Education in Hartford. And it is focused on first generation, underrepresented, non-traditional students to provide support and access for their success. One of the focuses is for them to graduate in 3 years. As we all know, the average at community colleges can be anywhere from 4 to 6 years for many of our students. We'll see what the challenges are that cause that. To have a student graduate in 3 years is a major coup. We have a student sitting here who is graduating in 2 years. years. And that is really an excellent coup that we have. We have a non-traditional student with 6 children who will be graduating in 2 years, who's in our program. And so that is a major coup. And so what do we do? What are the challenges that we have to face, ladies and gentlemen? For many of you, you already know, 50% of students of color attend community colleges. And when I read this article, it was to point out that that's a large number of students of color who come to our community colleges. They are not in the 4-year. They are in the community colleges. However, after 6 years, only 40% graduate. After 6 years, 80% declare their intention to transfer. However, only 25% achieve that goal. 17%, only 17% earn a bachelor's degree within 6 years after they've transferred. 40% fail to meet satisfactory academic progress or expected GPA, and as you all know, they then go into unsatisfactory standing, unsatisfactory progress. Not only does it affect their financial aid, but at a certain point, they then have to appeal to take the course again, even if they want to pay for it themselves. So we have a lot of students stuck in that rut of not progressing. Low-income students and students of color, of course, have a higher dropout rate. Low-income students and students of color have a lower graduation rate. Low-income students and students of color have lower achievement scores in middle school and high school and are at a greater risk of being 2 to 3 year grade levels below proficiency by high school. So think about where they are once they finally gotten to the college level, if this is where they are by the time they reach high school. I know that we cannot dictate what the public schools do, but we have to be aware of where they are when they come to us. So the challenge is that we are a commuter society. Our students come to our classes, and as an adjunct, I know they come to my class, they want everything they can get, and then they go home. Many of them, I teach at night, so I'm getting students who have a full-time job all day long. They have families, and I say to them, the major thing you need to do with me is communication, because I know you have 3 children, one of them's going to get sick, and then the other one's going to get sick, and then the next one's going to get sick. At some point, your boss is going to say to you, I need you to stay afterwards and do some extra work. And so I'm constantly getting emails from my students who cannot get there at night, and it scares the heck out of them because they are very, very scared that they're not going to succeed. This also happens in the daytime with our younger students who might possibly have to work to help their family. We have a huge number. I would say more than 50% of our students have to work to help provide for their family. And many of them come here to the classes, and then they go home, and they are not engaged. There is minimal connection to their school. Students may feel that they do not belong because they cannot participate in events or activities beyond the classroom attendance. Only 16% of black males over the age of 25 earn a college degree, despite the fact that 45% of black men over the age of 25 have attended college. So this idea that black males are not in college is not true. They are. The problem is they are not graduating. And so these are the challenges that we have. The students are not engaged. They do not feel a part of the atmosphere, and therefore they are not succeeding. What we know is that student engagement, the amount of time and effort students put into their studies and other activities leads to experiences and outcomes that constitute student success. Research shows that students who are more involved in activities outside their classroom feel that they belong as a part of the community. They feel they have a stake in the institution and therefore a stake in their educational success. One of the biggest things when I'm talking to students who are coming into the school, I gave a presentation the day before yesterday to a group of students, and I said, I am dedicated to your success. I understand you have potential. The key is, do you understand you have potential? Do you have confidence in your own ability to succeed? And the more we can get them to be a part of the school, engage them, the greater confidence they have, because we are giving them leadership skills. We are helping with their confidence. We are helping them to be able to navigate their pathway through their educational success. And we have students who then can take their destiny in their own hands, and then they can be a part of the school. They become leaders of the school, and they succeed at a much, much higher level.
Yeah, the previous day.
So we could all be recorded. Oh, okay. So many of you are familiar with the ConnCAS grant, right? Yes, no? One of the changes to the ConnCAS grant, we're entering our 4th year in the 4-year cycle. And it's no longer catered to first generation right now. So the first generation has been dropped off. And the access, everyone has the ability or is coming to college. The biggest thing is completion, success and completion. And so our challenge this cycle was to all the students who were taken into the program to have them complete in 3 years. And that was a challenge. So that, and I think spoke a lot about the type of the program, our increased retention and graduation rates among minority students, enhanced students' civic, cultural, and leadership development. These are the things that's part of the program. Assist students with external factors when experiencing personal hardship. So basically, the whole idea was to motivate the students within 3 years. So what we did, we had to develop a rubric. And in the past, the ConnCAS program was designed for low-income first-generation students, our students who were struggling, who needed the additional help and support. So we had to start looking at students with 1 or no developmental. And that was a challenge, needs. But we were still able to get some students. And so this year we started with a cohort of 25 students. And one of the goals of the program is that we were very intentional with engagement. So engagement is critical for us. Student engagement is a major building block of our program. We are very intentional about creating opportunities where our students can develop connections within the college and the community at large. So in developing that, one of the things we realized is that we started holding weekly town hall meetings with pizza. So every Monday and Tuesday, we would have weekly town hall meetings. It would be an opportunity for the students to come together. We would have different workshops and group advising, and we also had tutors in these town hall meetings as well. So it was intentional. And I think this is our 3rd year with the weekly town hall meetings. The other part is that in the grant, we also asked to have additional opportunities for work experience. So we realized that connections on campus is critical. So we had, in addition to work study, we also funded and provided employment opportunities. And a lot of our students actually worked in our welcome center. They were student ambassadors. They do tours around the campus. So they were able to connect to the environment. They also worked in the food pantry as well. So that was really powerful. Nicole also took it into the community. She'll share her experience about working in Congressman Joe Courtney's office as well. So that was really powerful, and we were able to give them that connection and leadership development. Some topics, workshop topics: academic skill development, job-seeking skills, personal and community awareness and enrichment, college success strategies, and leadership development. Civic, cultural, and community events, that's another key component of our students, of our program. We really wanted them to really develop into civic mindedness, individuals getting awareness of not just their community, but other issues that are happening. And Ed is really good for that. He's very connected to the community, so he engaged them. Yesterday, he took them to the Color of Purple luncheon. So we've gone to the NAACP Martin Luther King breakfast, luncheon. They also went to Martin Luther King Scholarship Banquet. They also spoke at Connecticut Association of Latinos in Higher Education. There was a conference at Eastern. They also they also spoke there. A night of no more. So the key thing about it is that we are very intentional in creating that community. In addition to intrusive advising, in addition to following up them in the classrooms, in addition to walk-in appointments all the time. So, and we're there for our students, so we really want to make it intentional. But expanding that component, we were able to see success. I'll be honest with you, not all the students engage in all of these activities, but the opportunity was there for all students. So let's look at the results. So our cohort this year, we started with a group of 27 students. And so we decided to measure it against that of the college. So we spoke to our IR person, and she compared the population so we have a nice close match. In regard to retention, I must say 100% of our students came back. As compared to the college, 70% returned. So that was tremendous. I think we were like at 99%, and then we were able to get that one student who was wavering about work and life, and we were able to talk to that student. The other component I didn't mention was that we also help them financially. We give them bus passes. We also give them, if they're having any financial difficulty, there's money in the grant. So it's all grant funded. But we were able to design the grant. So the key thing about it is how we were able to design the grant to achieve these goals. We looked at academic success, and that 29, what's that, 2.9? My vision is going. 2 students earned a 4.0, 12 students earned a 3.0, and 8 students earned a 2.0 or higher. So, but one thing we have to remember is that the bar was much higher this time around for the students we have to select to come into the program. FYE, that's another component of our program. So if they didn't take FYE this fall, they're taking it in the spring, so we factored that in as well. And so 78% of our students by the end of the year will be completing the FYE compared to the college, where only 20% when we look at similar populations. Another big thing was college level placement in math. So by the end of this year, 85% of our students will be placed into a college level math, and compared to the college where only 19% will be placed in a college level, and we're talking about credit level. So basically we need that in order for them to get into a college track, in order for them to complete in 3 years. We have to make sure that they're not stuck into the developmental course line. Regarding English, 93% was placed in English level. Will complete college English level English by 2006, the end of this semester. Unlike the general population, 24% will be complete in English. So looking at a 3-year graduation track, so we sort of average it by completing 20.5 credits per year. If they keep on that track, 71% of our students will complete and be on that track, while only 30% of the college population will be on that track. So the key thing about it is that the structure is there, the support is there, but right now we have looming concerns about the finances, whether the grant is going to continue. So we'll open that conversation right after the end of the discussion to talk about exactly how can we sustain. What about sustainability of these programs and the success of our minority students? So what I'll do right now, I'll turn it over to Nicole. She'll talk about her experience in the program, and then Ed will continue. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm glad you guys made it throughout the day. My name is Nicole. I am a student at Three Rivers Community College. I'm also a student ambassador. I'll tell you a little bit about myself and like where I come from. I'll make sure I'll keep it quick. I am the oldest from 4 siblings. Both of my parents are, they're minorities. They immigrated to the United States about 10 years ago with all 4 of us. We're 4 girls and we were young. They obviously came to the United States seeking the American dream. Throughout the years, I obviously was able to, I would say find my way through all different cultures. It's a lot different. I was born in Puerto Rico, and both of my parents were born in the Dominican Republic. So they moved to Puerto Rico and then moved to the United States. English is my second language, so when I moved here about, let's say, 11, 12 years ago, I was thrown into this vast majority of different, I felt like I was lost, but I made sure I was determined with the help of my parents, obviously. They value education. You have no choice. It's either you go to school or you go to school. There's no choice. So I thank them for that. My biological mother is in Puerto Rico. She still is there. So I had to leave her behind. So you can imagine that. I was young. I had to leave my mother behind. I came here, I was furious, I was mad, I was lost. So I managed to find my way, and now, I'm happy to say that I thank them because it was just a different opportunity. I wouldn't have gotten the same knowledge and the same opportunities as I do here. So, I'll tell you guys a little bit about my engagement in Three Rivers Community College and how the ConnCAS program has helped me obviously build my leadership skills and my networking. I graduated high school early. I graduated high school a semester early, and I was accepted to UConn. So my plans were to go to UConn as soon as for the fall semester. I left NFA, Norwich Free Academy, January 20th or 19th, sorry. And then I started Three Rivers on the 21st. It was a Monday. So it was just a couple days in between, and I just, went ahead. I took the chance. I was, a lot of people were trying to persuade me to take a break because, college was this, college was that, but I didn't. I went ahead and I went to Three Rivers, and it was summer of that academic year, and they asked me, I went to UConn, and I met with my advisor, and she was getting ready the courses that I had to take for the fall. She tells me that my English course and my first year experience course was going to be in a lecture hall, trying to be, very sympathy about it. She said it was going to be in a lecture hall with about 100 or 200 students. So right there and then, I was like, okay, can I schedule another appointment because I just have to think about this. I went back, I told my father, I was like, I'm not coming to UConn. I'm sorry, but I'm staying home. So I'm glad I made that choice because it just opened a lot of doors. I'm very, very appreciated of the ConnCAS program because through the ConnCAS program, I was given the opportunity to intern for the Congressman Joe Courtney, which is an experience that it's an invaluable experience. Learning from someone of such importance in our nation, it's incredibly, it's different when you actually hear about it and then be there when it's actually happening. So it was just an experience that I would never forget. While I was working with the congressman, I was able to attend a couple of meetings and campaigns. There was a campaigns for elections, and I was able to meet Richard Blumenthal, Bernie Sanders, it was Governor Malloy. You know, it was just a campaign. We were all there. They were doing a couple of conferences and speeches. So, you know, that experience, it's just, I would never forget it. And you know, I just wish anyone can have that experience. And through the ConnCAS program, I'm pretty sure that whoever's willing to do it and whoever's dedicated and determined to do it would obviously benefit from it. At the college, I also, I work at the Admissions Welcome Center. I'm there about 20 or so hours a week. In addition to my student, you know, my hours at the Welcome Center, I am also the president of the Social Justice Club. I am in the executive board of the National Society of Leadership and Success. I am the student representative for the Connecticut State Board of Regents Student Committee. I go to Harvard, you know, we have the advisory committee has meetings monthly or, yeah, sort of monthly. And we go to Hartford and just discuss different issues regarding Connecticut community colleges and state colleges, budget issues, and what can we do as students to advocate, you know, because if it's something that is it's harming us and that it's obviously affecting us, then we have to advocate for it. Because, yeah, we're moving along. It's going generation to generation. So if we feel like it benefits us today, you know, it can definitely benefit someone, you know, for instance, I have three younger sisters. I would obviously love for them to be in the same position I am today. So without these programs, without these people and resources, they obviously won't. I'm not saying that they won't, but there's just, with these programs, there's a higher percentage of them getting involved and them getting engaged. I also, he is a businessman, so I work for him on my time off. I do all of his paperwork and all of his daily reports and monthly and annual reports, and I also have a part-time job. I work at a jewelry store, also in my time off. So I'll work for my father in the morning, and my weekend nights I will work in the jewelry store. I mean, and I would say the reason why I do this is because I feel like, you know, I know we are the future leaders. So in order for this society to function, we have to take some sort of accountability. So we have to put our step there, and it's hard. It's really hard as college student, as students working part-time, full-time. It's hard, so we need these programs to basically push us. You know, there has been time where I feel like, oh my God, I just have so much in my plate, I can't do it no longer. And we have advisors that help us go throughout all of that. We have financial support through these programs. And it's just an incredible amount of resources that we get from them and opportunities that if it wasn't for these programs, I would most likely say that students, you know, won't be as successful as they are today. So with that, I want to keep it longer. I want to go ahead and...
When do you sleep?
I barely sleep. Okay, thank you.
Okay, as you can see, this is an extreme example of what we're talking about. I wish all of our students were as driven as Nicole, but we do a pretty good job. So, we have students who need to talk. So we have the student town hall meetings, and they're very, very important. We have them twice a week. We have them on Mondays and Tuesdays. And we do a lot of things like study skills, writing skills, speaking skills, how to articulate. We bring in employers. So the college itself has a career program coordinator. It has that. But we provide a much more intimate environment where the person from EB, Electric Boat, comes in to our students and talks to them in a much more intimate way rather than the huge multi-purpose room where you might have a couple of hundred students at a career fair. So it makes a difference. Our students feel like it's much more intimate. They feel it's much more personal. They really do feel we're doing it for them, which is what we are doing. And it's kind of funny because he offered a job to one of my students. He said, come on down, fill out an application, and he had a job ready for that person. So the student town hall meetings also give them the ability to speak out without fearing any recriminations. They can say anything they want to in those student town hall meetings. I'm not encouraging them to talk about professors. No, that's not acceptable. But if they have issues with the running of the college, you know, many of them were concerned about courses not being offered in the fall. It didn't fit their plan of study. How can I graduate if it's not offered in the fall? And some aren't offered only in 2-year cycles. Things like that. We also teach them how to approach a dean or how to approach the president. You have a right to set up an appointment and talk to management. So we talk about how you do that and what's appropriate for them to express and how to express themselves. So the student town hall meeting, if we don't have it, they get upset. They really do. It becomes their world, their place where they feel comfortable. It's also turned into a study hall where they come now. So what I've been doing is I also have little laptops that we were able to get, and I lend them out. Half of our students do not have access to the internet. Many of them don't even have computers at home, or many of them have computers that don't work. So I was lending them out to various students. What it turned out is I started taking some of the additional laptops and putting them in our room where we have our student town hall meetings. The students saw that. Now they come in on a regular basis to sit, use the computers. They form study groups with each other to support one another. Some of them just come in just to sit and just relax and just to breathe. It's turned into a wonderful aspect of release for our students. Our students need jobs. You hear what Nicole is doing, okay? For many of our students who need a job, we can give them paid work study and paid internships. Therefore, and you know this, now they're on campus. They're not running back and forth trying to get from home to the school to a job. Some of them go from home to a school to a job and then try to come back for another course. They're running all over the place, and many of them are not successful in that endeavor. So having a work study on campus means they're there. I've got them. So they're in the Welcome Center. My office is right around the corner. They can come and see me in a split second if they have a problem. I can come around the corner and make sure everything is going well, and all they have to do is get up from there and go to their class. And we fashion their work study around their courses, and then they can also go to the library. They can take advantage of the student town hall meetings. They can take advantage of all the forums that we offer. They're there. And they can also take advantage of community service. They're there. Once you have them there, then you can really work with them and they could be successful. So, in our ConnCAS program, our students become leaders. This is an example of leadership. We have the Martin Luther King Scholarship Foundation in New London, Connecticut. It gives, I would say, about 6 scholarships a year worth $20,000 each. Our students go and to these, they're not eligible, you have to be a high school student, but our students go to these scholarship dinners, and they are there as role models to the younger students who are there. They then come come back from that scholarship experience and give a presentation back at Three Rivers so that our Three Rivers students can understand they need to reach back and help the next generation. So they're our future leaders. They're the next generation. But they have younger brothers and sisters in the public schools who are the next generation. So they can come back from an experience like this and talk to their students and say, there's scholarships out there for you. Here's what you need to do to access the scholarships. They've become the leaders. And you can see, it's so cool. If you can see how happy they are. They all get dressed up, they go to the dinner, and they get to meet all the politicians and business leaders who are there. And that's called networking. So that's an incredible experience. This is the Power of Purple Walk for Safe Futures, fighting against domestic abuse. There's Joe Courtney, who Nicole interns for. My students and some faculty went to this Power of Purple walk and participated. This is something we put on every year. It's called Mobilizing Our Future Leaders. We bring in politicians. Joe Courtney comes to this. He's on the panel. So are the mayors of New London and Norwich. Kathy Austin, the senator in Hartford, comes on the panel, and our students are on the panel, talking about the issues of racism and ethnic bias within our society. And the students are on the panel with the politicians and the leaders, talking to the community about the issues. Again, they've become the leaders, and they're interacting with the community, and again, they're networking with very, very powerful people. We do this every fall at Three Rivers. We also took our students to Eastern Connecticut State University for the Kalahe College Fair, and they were able to do presentations for middle and high school students that came into Eastern looking to go to college. And it was a wonderful experience for my students to be the presenters for the middle school and high school. And it just so happens that a huge number of immigrants coming into the United States are Spanish-speaking. Within the next 20 to 30 years, the Spanish-speaking population will be the majority within our nation. A large portion of our students are Spanish-speaking. It was wonderful for them to meet the people who run Kalahe, and again, we have networking opportunities. We also did, and this was fun, for Black History, we did a soul food day, along with a discussion about rap and the pros and cons. Again, my students helped to organize it, and they helped to do the presentations, and they helped to be a part of running that show. We also started an annual event called A Night of No More, Men Against Domestic Violence. We do this in collaboration with some of the faculty on the campus. We do it in collaboration with our Equity and Diversity Committee, and our students, again, help to plan it and help to run it. We bring in poets, and they do poetry about domestic violence, and our students come up and do improvisation as a part of the program. Again, it's leadership and skills in presenting. This is this year's Night of No More. Every year we have more and more people, and it's standing room only. This is a debate we do with high school students, but our students help to organize it and help to run it. And this, ladies and gentlemen, this is the last slide I'm going to show. This is a professional women's forum. We decided to bring in and recognize professional women leaders in our society. One of our mayors in New London County was honored. Where is Deb Hinchy? Where did she go? Did she leave, or is she hiding here? Well, anyway, we have Kathy Austin. We honored her. We have our dean, Dean Branchini. We honored her. We have Almonte Grant, who's an assistant to Joe Courtney. But we also decided to honor our student leaders. And these are some of the students in our program, students who are student ambassadors, who are doing work study, internships, and are leaders in our community. What was excellent about this is to have the women professionals at this affair to pass the torch to our student leaders of the year. That was fantastic, and you can see they all got together, they were talking to one another, and we honored each other by having the student award winners present the awards to our professional women. But then after that was over, we had a panel discussion with some of the folks who were professional leaders and our students on a panel to talk about what is needed for the next generation to promote professional women's leadership. So this is an example, and this is not everything that we do to promote leadership among our students, but to have our students be the organizers to bring in the community, because you all know, if we don't connect with the community, to connect with the employers, connect with the politicians, if we don't have all of that, then we're not going to be successful. So to have our students to help with that then gives them the reins of leadership and also puts their destiny in their hands and creates the format for networking. You can hear from Nicole. Nicole's wonderful, but so are all of our other student ambassadors who also do tours. So when high school students come in and I do a lot of presentations to them, they're then given over to our student ambassadors who takes them on a tour of the college.
Let's hear from them now, because we have like 5 minutes.
Actually, we have 10 minutes. We're doing well. We're doing well. So this is what we do. And I know that Naugatuck must be doing similar things within your world. So what we want to do is to reiterate the challenges and talk about what some other things are that you might be doing. Are there other challenges that we haven't expressed? So,
And
let's...
also too, in terms of how can we scale it up? Because we already talked about 50% of the population.
Oh, it's following me. Let me give it over.
So a couple of questions I want to pose is how can we scale it up? What are our next steps? And two, in terms of when you look at a lot of these initiatives, they're normally grant funded, and they're the first to go. So when we look at our challenges and we look at equity, in terms of many of our students need like 1 or 2 bars to at least to achieve student success, what can we do as a community? So I wanted to put that out today. And just so we could just have a conversation. Go ahead. We connect with everybody.
What's that? I'm sorry.
In terms of existing resources and
We have a student activity program. Rhonda Spaziani runs student activities, and she does a lot of activities. She also organizes graduation. So we work in conjunction with her to help to put on these activities. And
but in terms of the coordination of these specific, these are done in-house within our office.
But Nicole also mentioned
She's involved in some
the Social Justice Club. I happen to also be the advisor for the Social Justice Club, but there's also a dozen other clubs run through
Student programs
and the student government. We encourage our students to get involved in those clubs and to become a part of student government. So there's a lot of collaboration with student government and with student programs. And it's a good thing, too, because we have limited resources and limited funding.
But I would say our
we work together.
Right. But our program, I guess, focus a lot on around diversity and community awareness. So unlike student programs where they do all different other types. So in terms of that development, that will come from our area.
We also, I'm the student activity director at North Valley, some of these programs, we've done the same thing. Our Black Student Union this year had an open forum where they invited faculty and staff, and we did, Black Lives Matter panel discussion, no rally, just a panel discussion to discuss it. We had the Soul Food Day for Black History, but we do a lot of those things too. I think the biggest problem is the staff resources to engage more students. I would love to have, with 7,000 students and a full-time staff and part-time staff, trying to get out to all first-year experience classes, talk to them, engage those students. I think you need more staff to do things like that.
Exactly.
Because a lot of these students don't know about it, and it's hard to get it out there, and every year we get a new student government that comes in, and that's our initiative, is to engage more students. But you know what, we're trying to run the programs at the same time, but trying to get new people on board, it's very difficult to pull them. And we do have, we have the same program you're talking about, plus we have our WAVE program, which is similar. It's another grant-funded program.
Right.
And they engage in a lot of things, and they come to us sometimes. I think more of a collaboration would probably be a better thing in the long run. Working together with your resources and our resources and doing more things. And I think the biggest goal is how do you engage more students with the limited people that volunteer or whatever. I mean, we have 40 clubs on campus, and most of them are active, and they do change year to year based on students' wants and needs and whatever. But I find it difficult to try to, I can't run to every first-year experience classroom because I'm trying to run an office at the same time and run activities and run the student government and do this. I don't know.
What's the best way?
Yeah.
One of the ways in doing research at some point I was looking into, it hasn't been implemented yet, but I think it's Valencia Community College. And what they did is that they did a first-year committee. And basically they actually had members or representatives from each component of the college that did something with first year. And they were able to put a collaborative schedule and collaborative efforts. And I think in that they were able to set an agenda. So I think some type of college-wide, instead of segments and portions, would actually push an agenda forward than just you doing something in isolation or just 2 or 3 people, because it's not that effective.
Probably does their own thing too, and you're just trying to get those things done.
Exactly.
And you don't have the time to,
Exactly.
run and do all that stuff. And
Right.
that's where I find it to be the most difficult, and try to engage. And then it's, by the time you train them all and get all those students, they're graduating.
Because
And they're
a lot of
moving
them are
on.
leaving now.
Yeah, they're all
So then
leaving.
we're
Yeah,
like-
it's like a repetitive thing
Yes,
that goes over
yes,
and over again, and it doesn't go to that next level where it needs to be, I think.
And one of the things we're fearing now is that we got an email in terms of we're not sure whether our final year is going to be funded. So it's like, okay, what happens now? So even when we look at many of these programs are grant funded in terms of exactly, and these are students, 25% of our students at Three Rivers, they're minority students, in terms of exactly how can we get them to be successful? How could we get them to complete? And, are they going to be, is it ever going to be institutionalized? So these are the questions and the things we need to figure out, and exactly what are some of the ways we can really, what can we do as a community?
And the
To really-
biggest thing is the students now, they have 2 and 3 jobs. To try to keep them on campus, engage them, becomes a difficult thing, and some of them are great student leaders, but you can't overwhelm them because,
Exactly.
listen to her, I have students in the same exact, that they have 2 jobs, they work, we try to keep them on campus and get jobs. We do have a good initiative program where we have jobs on campus, and it's a funded thing, and our Derr campus has a grant for jobs on campus, and so it's provided a lot of opportunities for our students, and the same thing on our Waterbury campus now, and they work in different departments to give them those skills that they need to go to the next level. Because I think that's the biggest problem with our students, with the students nowadays. They can have a piece of paper, but if they don't have that experience.
Exactly.
And I really think that the old way of, before my time at the community college was, they had co-op programs, where they had the internships, and they had all that. I think that needs to be a focus point on the future, too.
Yes.
I think we need to go back to that.
David, you're going to say something?
I think, to me, it boils down to how do we take programs like this work? They increase retention, because when you provide a kind of wraparound service model, it's going to make a difference and have an impact on long-term retention and graduation. how do we scale those up? And that's part of that is a resource constraint issue, and we're all kind of holding our breath to see what happens in the next few weeks.
Right.
How do we make do with less? So there's the scale-up issue, and then the whole issue of how do you engage when you have mostly part-time students, or it may be full-time, but as you two were just saying, they work, and obviously if they can work on campus, that makes a huge difference. But that is just a big struggle. We all know that engagement is a huge retention factor, but how do you do that for people? I have a son who's going back to college after many years out in Manchester, and the last thing in the world he wants to do is to stay around campus any longer than he has to, although he does spend a lot of time in the library studying. But then it's boom, get on the bus and get back to Hartford. So I think those two issues going forward as we think about it sort of structurally. But to have programs like this as models is terrific. And I think some of us have heard 2 or 3 different models today of what our community colleges are doing, and really making a valiant effort to engage students, to increase retention, provide wraparound services in a way that's going to produce good results.
1 second, I'll come to you. Go ahead.
Just a quick question. For your weekly town hall meetings, were they required?
Do we require them?
Yeah.
Yes. There are requirements for them to be in our program.
Objectives we put together.
And that is attending the student town hall meetings. And especially if we're offering them work study and internships, they have to come to the student town hall meetings. So it is a requirement. But what we found out, though, is what we offer them, it's become enjoyable for them. And this whole idea of it becoming a study center, I didn't expect that. That was something unexpected that really took me back. So that was an extra joy for me.
And we're still trying to find a space because we use a
we're
use a
using,
conference room, and we're about to be butted out of
We're
that.
using a very popular conference room that
We'll
people
take-
have been actually complaining about, that we have it basically 4 days a week, and they're complaining that we're monopolizing it. And so I'm not sure.
I was just gonna follow up on what we were talking about as far as the resources and that kind of thing and being able to scale it up. I think one of the biggest things is, in order to have that engagement, you also have to have the right people. And to get those right people, that are able to make those relationships, build that trust with the students. And
Yes,
really
that's
connect
key.
is huge.
It is powerful. Oh,
Not
God.
everybody can do that and
Yes,
do it well.
that's key. That is key. Because you have to have that connection. That connection is very powerful.
I just want to add something in there. I literally spend like every 30 an hour or so, I spend it in his office. He has an office and he has like a table for, especially for students to come in and just sit there.
And the office is
So-
this big, though.
Yeah. So I mean, and he has, his office is full of bags, of all of our bags, and he doesn't care at all. So those are the kind of people that we need to run these programs, to be dedicated and committed to the students. I mean, he's the first one to, I think it's security, then him, and he's one of the last ones to leave college as well. So I mean, it's hard to find people like that, but it's all a matter of searching. There are people that are dedicated to student and dedicated to student success. So it's just all a matter of advocating.
So are you going into higher education?
I'm going into law.
Start encouraging some of your
You're up in front of a court.
Who knows, though? Any other questions, comments, suggestions, next steps? Anything from the system? You said from the system office?
Yeah, I mean,
Direction?
I think the real challenge is that we all know that resources aren't likely to come to these kinds of things. So I think that the point about having the right people, utilizing the right principles and caring, but I mean, I've had this discussion with people before. We all got into this work because we're passionate about working with students and we want to do that. And then I think that daily life hits us sometimes with, well, I've got to return this phone call and I have this email and there's this budget that I have to balance. And I think that if we can rediscover kind of the passion that is displayed here and we can all find ways to do that and make that a cultural sort of thing, that it can change a lot. I've been at campuses where they're like, wow, we need to build a fancy new residence hall to have community. I've seen some of the best community in the
Yeah,
oldest,
town hall.
smallest residence hall
Yes.
on a residential campus, and that's been a result of you have the right people, the right
Exactly.
programs, the right atmosphere, the right energy, and I think that we have to find ways to take away some of the burdens that are on people's jobs so that they can do some of the, so that they can have a desk that's open to people
Exactly.
that they can talk to, because I just think that can be so powerful, and it's a good reminder, listening to this, how powerful it is to, and even if we only have like 2 minutes a day to do that, to spend that 2 minutes making that connection is so huge.
It changes lives.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'd like to, any last words, Ed?
No, thank you.
I'd like to thank you for your time and spending that time with us. And if you could fill out the questionnaire or the survey. Thank you very much.